Hi everyone, this is my June 2016 reading wrap-up, and I've actually had a really good month because I managed to read 6 books, which is definitely a nice improvement for the last few months where I've only read 3 or 4. I'm not done reading yet for this month. I'm currently reading Frankenstein, but unfortunately I won't be able to finish it in time for it to be in my June wrap-up, so hopefully you'll see it in the July video. So let's get right to it. The first book that I read was The Girls by Emma Cline, and I gave this book 4 stars. This is about a girl who decides to follow along some girls that she saw, and it turns out that they're part of a cult. As a result of that, she ends up doing some questionable activities, even though she's not really comfortable with it. So it's basically just the gist of this book. I had really high expectations going in, and I feel like that's probably why I didn't love that book as much as I thought I would. It was well written, and the characters were very likable, and they were very smart, so there wasn't much that I was annoyed about, but I just felt like the book wasn't dark enough, which I guess isn't usually my main complaint with the books that I read, but I just wanted something more from this book. I wanted it to be more gripping, more sort of terrifying, but I feel like it had a lot more potential. With that being said, I gave it 4 stars, so it was a pretty decent read. The next book that I read is Eligible, and I gave this book 3 stars. This is a modern day retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and since I really enjoyed Pride and Prejudice, I thought that I would try this book and see if I liked it. Well, I should have known better because I don't really like romance novels, so I probably should have stayed away, but I didn't. So in the end, I thought it was good. It followed the original story pretty closely with a few little changes here and there, but overall I think if you like Pride and Prejudice, you would like this one, especially if you enjoy romance. The characters were a little bit flat for me. They were very predictable, and I wasn't really surprised with anything that I read in this book. If I had the chance to do it over, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, but I guess I'll know for next time. The next book that I read was Everything I Never Told You, and I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I didn't really have any expectations going into it just because I wasn't really sure where it was on the spectrum of being really good or really bad, so I just went into it because I liked what it was about. The characters were really well written, and I find that I don't really love books like that, but in this case they were just very authentic, and they were very real in terms of being like an actual real human person. This book is about a family and there's 3 kids in it, and one of the children dies, and so the family struggles to deal with that. And the narration switches from person to person, so I like that a lot. I cannot get enough of multiple viewpoints, and this book definitely delivered in that sense. And during each person's narrative, you gather more about them because each one of those characters has some dark sides to them, whether they were doing something they shouldn't have been doing, or they felt certain unpleasant feelings towards their family members and things like that. So it's definitely a very complicated dynamic that we're faced with here, but it's just very real. None of it's too over the top. It just felt like a true story almost. It just didn't feel super fabricated like they were trying too hard. So overall, I just really liked the book. It was great, and the ending was unexpected. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, so that was great as well. So if you were thinking about reading this book, I highly recommend. The next book that I read is 1984 by George Orwell, and I read The Animal Farm before, so I sort of knew what type of writing to expect, but I didn't really know too much what this book was about. And basically, to sum it up, it's about a society where government, Big Brother, sort of monitors what everyone does. So you're supposed to only, sort of go to work and then go home and then not really do much fun stuff in between. Like, your personal relationships aren't supposed to be romantic and fun and sort of really interesting. It's just you doing your duty to, you know, be with someone and have children and whatnot. So the main character in this book decides to go against that, and this book is basically sharing his experiences with that. I don't want to give too much away in case you haven't read the book, but overall it was really interesting, and I really liked how detailed everything was, and everything was very well thought out, and it was just a very engaging book. Like, I was genuinely worried about the characters. I was really concerned and scared at times about what was going on, so I really like these types of books, and I give this book 4 stars. I thought it was a really great read, so if you haven't picked it up yet, I highly recommend. And I genuinely want to read more classics after this one, because I don't know why I've been avoiding them for so long, because when I read them, it turns out that they're actually really good reads, so I'm definitely going to read more classics in the future months. The next book that I read is called My Life on the Road, and before I picked it up, I didn't really know much about it, except that it was, it's about feminism, and Gloria Steinem sort of talks about her life and so her experiences and the people that she sort of got to meet and get to know and their experiences. And I didn't think I was going to enjoy this book as much as I did, but I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought all the stories were incredibly interesting. Her experiences were very, very interesting, and it was just great learning more about the whole movement and how she played a part in it and what sort of things went into it, and it was very informative. So I recommend it if you have been thinking about reading it but sort of stayed away from it because you didn't know what to expect. I didn't know much about her until I picked up this book. So, and from what I saw on Goodreads, she's written other books before, so maybe I'll check those out as well, because I really liked this one. It was a very sort of quick but very interesting read. Last but not least, I read Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay, and I didn't really realize that it was a collection of essays until I picked up the book, but I didn't really mind that. So she talks in her essays about a lot of pop culture, movies, TV shows, books, just people in general, and she sort of kind of comments about what she thinks of it and critiques it and just has a general discussion about it. That's the part that I didn't really like about it. I didn't know it was going to be like that. I didn't know she was just going to sort of critique different things, and spoiler alert, she does spoil certain things in case you haven't read them or saw them, or you know, you don't really know. Sometimes she does give a little too much information, so that's just something to keep in mind. I gave this book 4 stars because it did touch on a lot of very interesting subjects, and it was a lot more sort of harsher and more eye-opening than My Life on the Road was. So I think that this one is definitely a good book to read if you sort of want to learn more about the harsh realities and, you know, some serious struggles and things like that, and just also to learn more about the shows and books that you sort of know and love, but she brings up some very valid points about a lot of things. So I really enjoyed reading that book as well. So that's it for my June 2016 reading wrap-up. I enjoyed all of the books, and I think I did that because I was genuinely excited to pick all of them up, so it was very promising going in. Please let me know if you've read any of these books, and also please let me know which books you're reading right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.